Hi, I'm Roberta from Quilt Crafters Corner, and as a passionate quilter, I've experienced the joys of finding new ideas and techniques. And now I'm on a mission to share these ideas with my fellow quilters. So if this is something that you're really interested in, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out, and it's free. If you'd like to stay updated on all the things that I'm doing in my studio, subscribe to the email down below, and I will send out only things that I think you might enjoy. So, we've been talking about our scraps and those scraps that we've cut off the backs of quilts. You know, those long sides and those big wide bottoms and tops that we've cut off. What do we do with them? Well, first I went through and I went and sorted them by color, and then I started playing with these colors and seeing what I could do with them. So I came across those really beautiful reds, those dark reds with that with the black undertones in it, just to give you an example. Well, I was looking through my stash for more yellows so that I could add more yellows to those reds. And I came across some blocks that I had forgotten that I had. And I've had them for a really long time. So let me show you what ended up happening with that red fabric. Okay, so here are the blocks that I was talking to you about. Now, I, for the longest time, was thinking I needed to match this green that was inside of these blocks, thinking that that was going to be the right look. And when I pulled these blocks out and I looked at the red fabric on my cutting table, I went, oh, wait a minute. Things are changing here, because what happened is these reds really brought out the reds in the blocks, and it really highlights them, and it makes them much more brighter and much more vibrant. So this has got a lot of undertones of blacks and grays in it. That's why these reds work so well with these blocks. And these blocks here have been, I've had them for, like I said, forever, and I just didn't know what to do with them. Well, finally, I've got them into a quilt. And this quilt went together really, really quickly. Now, because there were 6 blocks, it ended up being a little more symmetrical than I really wanted to do. But because it just worked this way, this is how it went together. And these blocks now stand out more. They really become more vibrant, and you can really see they're the focal point of this quilt, is how these blocks really turned out. Now, let me show you kind of some other ideas, the same ideas with blocks, but in a different layout for a different focal point. Okay, once again, these are blocks that I've had, and I've just had them forever. So let me put them up on the board and start explaining a little bit more about focal point and how to get your eye to move through a quilt. Now, some of the most common focal points are slants, a straight line, or even a thirds type of thing, where you cut your quilt top into thirds and then you position your quilt blocks accordingly. So I could do them at a slant here and then come back this way and use up the last 2. Or I could do something like this. I can do something like this, where I've got 2/3 of my focal point, and then this will all be what we call negative space. And it could just be a solid color, or it could be a print. It could be just pretty much anything that you want. This could be something where the quilting is a little bit more defined. There's more of a pattern to it. Whereas versus the birds are just going to be quilted lightly, just enough to tack it down and hold it in place, but your heavy quilting will be in this negative space, the space here that doesn't have the focal point. So these would be the focal points, and this is your negative space here. Now this is just one idea. There's triangles are good focal points. There's many shapes and different, like a plus sign. That's a really good shape. I could position these into something like that, and then make these my negative space there, and I could do some nice fancy quilting or just some plain quilting. You know, it could just be straight lines. It doesn't need to always be fancy free motion quilting. It could just be something as simple as straight lines. So this is another idea for focal points, to give yourself something for the eye to move through. These are all really great ideas for you to start to use your fabric. Now, I happen to have these. You could use a number of things. You could make blocks. There could be house blocks. There could be log cabins. Log cabins in this pattern would be really pretty also. Or if you've got that special fabric that you've been holding on to forever and you don't know what to do with, this is a wonderful idea to put this in, in any one of these patterns, and then add that negative space where you'll add the nice quilting to it, and it could really turn out to be something really unique and very special. These are all simple ideas, and just start to think about your fabric in a little different way. That's why it was so important to go through and sort and look through that fabric, see what you have, because then as you start to touch it and start to look at it, you start to get more ideas and more ideas. And then it's like, oh, well, I could do this or I could do that. So these are just some of the things I want you to stop and think about and look at your fabric just a little bit differently now. So these are all really simple ideas, and I hope that this is something that you can kind of wrap your head around and start to think about your quilting just a little bit differently. So that's what I have for you today. In the next one, we're going to talk more about balance and about making your quilts a little bit more interesting, maybe framing them with different ideas. These are all things that kind of make our quilts unique. So until next time, happy quilting, and I'll see you then.